Alright, this video is about feelings. Yay. But anyways, this video is, if you are annoyed, do not throw away that frustration. It's proof that you haven't given up on yourself. Trying to remember which anime series I kind of saw that in. But let's do this. Like when you think about annoyed, you're not looking at, am I annoyed? I'm not, right? I don't think that's fair for the act of annoyance, period. What I personally see is a spectrum of mildly annoyed, tolerably annoyed, and then eventually I can't handle this anymore annoyed. And if you look at this kind of like scope of being, of levels or layers of being annoyed, because like annoyance kind of like sneaks in. It's that its function happens seamlessly. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that if I am, for example, doing something, and then I kind of like, I guess start this like here, because if you are annoyed, don't throw away that frustration. That frustration is basically the friction builds your annoyance until you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And the idea is the thing about annoyance is it sneaks in with your work. First things first, let's make sure like we understand it's a feeling, correct? Like being annoyed is a feeling, and so you're gonna feel, let's just say, agitated, or whatever. I'm trying to see different words for annoyance because there's an actual feeling that could be labeled, basically. Like, I think irritated or something has a name, or it has been accepted to have a name. I think that's basically the feeling that we are, that either leads to annoyance or leads to drive or leads to anger, right? It's the same agitating feeling. It's just because your perspective kind of like plays a role, your mental mindset, and how it takes these feelings and what it does with them, right? It's the difference between like studying for school is the same feeling, studying for a test the day before, and it's the same feeling as an Olympic medalist like running the day of the race. One person is anxious, the other person is excited. It's just a mentality. On one side, you fucking study for you run for 4 years in order, you practice 4 years to run for like 10 minutes. Well, on the other side, you basically like, you just study before the exam or throughout, whatever. So there's a difference in approach when it comes to preparation. Anyways, so that we don't go on a fucking tangent. What I'm talking about is what I'm talking about is the fact that being the annoyance factor is basically it's incorporated in whatever work you're doing. Because something got you annoyed, and then it just lingers there, right? It doesn't go anywhere. And whether we like to admit it or not, it causes friction on everything else that we do. It's a simple thing as like it's still in the back of your head, right? Like, random thoughts that happen. It's like we have a discussion of something, and then kind of like 3, 5 thoughts that have triggered you. Those basically are kind of like in the passive state of annoyance. Like, oh, I came, okay, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to stick around. And then maybe after like an hour or so, you're going to be like, why am I thinking about this? Or it really upsets me, or like, this is just making me lose my focus because it grows, and depending on the depending on the importance and the feeling you assign to it. On another side, you're basically like looking at, yeah, so like as annoyance kind of like sneaks in, one side of the spectrum, you end up kind of like noticing, okay, I am annoyed, right? And I've been in places, man. One day, 7 years ago, I think it was 2018. Like for like 3 days, I was completely deep in thought. And when anyone would ask me, I'd be like, nothing's going on, I'm fine. Like I knew something basically, something pissed me up 3 days ago. But in my head, I got over it, right? But for 3 days, I kind of like was, I don't know, I want to say paralyzed. Any action I would want to take, I'd always basically like be sitting and thinking about it. If I want to do this, I can do this tomorrow. Like that really, like that energy, all of it was sucked. And then by the third day, it kind of clicked to me, or fourth day or something, that like whatever happened was still bothering me. It took 4 fucking days. Such a beautiful experience. But like in 4 days, and I was completely all the time barely eating, fully tensed up, not talking when my friends are around, completely like in a kind of state of shock. And it took me 4 days to consciously realize what's going on. It was fucking intense, dude. And so like that, imagine that side of the spectrum, and I still had no awareness. Like where for 3 days I wasn't able to do shit, but I had no awareness. And now I'm able to discuss the details of like the thought is still in my head, so I clearly have not let it, allowed it to leave, allowed it, gave it space to find its way out, right? What do you want to do? Let's explore you until you kind of die. So whatever that leads to as a frustration perspective, right? Like, back then I needed 3, 4 days to process feelings. I don't know how long they take today, but I know I kind of like split them in micro doses. Uh, Over the past 3 months, I've been like slowly kind of like resolving my relationship with my father. And yesterday I ended up writing a poem, right? The same feelings kind of like come and go and come and go, and you allow them to kind of do their thing, and then you revisit them because they're not really fully resolved. And the reason for that is because the trigger exists in your life, right? I think I'm using my father as an extreme, but the trigger exists in your life, and some triggers basically you can be like, okay, I'm done with you, bye, and then like a year later, it just happens that they kind of like revisit, and it's perfectly fine. And it could be like an old girlfriend, a missed opportunity, I don't know, a social thing that happened, an event, a place you visited. I have no idea, right? Who knows what triggers shit? But the idea is basically like some triggers are differently resolved because of how they exist in your world. But through increments and revisiting the trigger, like, what are you showing me today? I was like, oh, I'm feeling this today, and like going through it. So the big difference between like 4 days fucking stuck until I acknowledge what's going on. And I don't know, I hope I processed that. I think I did. With traumatic responses, once you get out of them, you have processed them, but you're a different person, not in a positive way, more of a more intense way, right? So, anyways, the key to this is: would you be frustrated if you're doing something you don't give a fuck about? I've cleaned the houses at times, the house at times, in a very I don't give a fuck way. And whether it got clean or not, or whether I didn't check details, I didn't care because in my head I cleaned. I didn't give a fuck. I wanted to clean. I cleaned. But sometimes I'd be like, I want this house to be clean. I'd basically wipe every corner. I'd I'd swipe. I'd find like dust in places, and I'd go for them. And on one side, I had zero feelings. I did not care. I just wanted to do something quick and have the house looking a bit better. But on the other side, I had a lot more intention. I had a lot more connection to what I was doing, and I had a lot more like targeted results. So one side, I was never annoyed by anything that was going on. It was just like, oh, I'm going to do this, blah 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 blah. On the other side, it was very much like it's still not coming out, or like holy shit, I thought after I cleaned it once, or I thought sweeping it would be enough, right? Like everything kind of like got in the way. And if I had listened to that feeling, I would have stopped finishing. I would have finished the work. And instead of taking that feeling and reflecting it personally, I should realize that it's proof that I'm not giving up. I haven't given up, right? I'm still doing it. I'm still pushing for it. Suddenly, everything we're doing, basically, points at the relationship that we have, annoyance and frustration, point at the relationship we have with ourselves and how we're trying to have a relationship with something else. And as long as I'm frustrated, that means there are still more things I'm thinking of attempting, and that's where the essence is. Like, oh, this should have worked, or this didn't work, whatever it is, right? And the more I'm frustrated, the more proud I should be of myself for how intentional I'm basically like, with my my approach is. That's it. I love you guys. It's a video.